football team, going on the road against an FBS opponent, and for us, it's about getting better from week 1 to week 2. I think that when you put on the film, there's obvious room for improvement for our football team to take a step. I thought there were some positive things. We got to continue to build on the things that we did well, and then we got to get better at some things. So I mean, it's a new staff for UMass. We were able to watch the Rutgers game. I know Coach Bell is building a program and is an excellent coach, and we expect him to come out there and play hard. And they're looking for their first win, first home game. And I know that they're going to want to clean things up from the first week too. So we got to expect for those things to be cleaned up and get their best effort. But I think it's a great opportunity for us to go on the road and play our best football.
What does improvement mean? Are we getting beat by? It seems like I asked this question last year. Are we getting beat by scheme, or are we just getting beat individually in the defensive line?
Yeah, we got to be more disruptive. I mean, we've got to make plays at the defensive line. I felt like SEMO played a pretty clean game. They were they didn't beat themselves. They didn't have many busted plays. They executed when they needed, starting with their quarterback, and they were able to go on some longer drives. I thought we did a pretty good job of not giving up the explosive touchdown play that really hurt us the year before in the run game, but they were able to just methodically grind the ball out a little bit is how they ran the football, and then hit us on some big plays in the passing game. So, we got to find ways to put pressure on the quarterback. We've got to, be more disruptive. I feel like they were just on schedule the entire night as far as 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, first down success, and so we got to be successful on the early downs to then be able to put some pressure on the quarterback on 3rd down.
Putting pressure on the quarterback, would that mean?
But you got a guy in front of you. You got
blitzing or what?
Yeah, combination of everything. I mean, you're not just going to sell out, and you got to be able to call pressures at the right time, and then you got to win one-on-one matchups. I mean, you got to be able to put pressure on the quarterback when you get a one-on-one block. That's all you can ask for as a pass rusher, is where you're not getting double teamed, you're not taking the slide protections coming to you. You got to go to work and you got to win. So if you're on the man side, you got to win. It's what we do. If you get a one-on-one block out of D lineman, you got to win.
What were your impressions of Stone's first start, and where does he need to improve for game 2?
I thought he was gave us a chance. We didn't win the football game, and that's how you get graded as a quarterback. There's probably 8 to 12 plays on there that he's got to make better decisions on, some things that don't show up probably to you guys, but just getting us in the right protections, having total control and command out there. I think he'll take steps from game 1, just out in the game and playing and things that showed up. I felt like we talked about after the game, the one decision down on the 4-yard line. The ball gets tipped, probably have a chance to complete the ball, but needs to be a handoff. And so just little things like that, in the game. That play came up twice. Later in the game, he handed the ball off, and we scored on both of them. So I know he'll learn from that. It's a tough way to learn that lesson. Was pretty good on 3rd down early in the game, which is a big part of what you have to do as a quarterback. So I thought there was some good, and there's definitely some things that we got to clean up.
Did the ref ever give you an explanation about the call on the touchdown pass?
Was
too many guys in the backfield, or what? And it happened twice. So
well, the twice was the second time was they called our tackle off the ball, that he was too far backed up, which you usually get a warning for that a few times in the game. I mean, every tackle in America is off the ball. They'll tell them to scoot up, or hey, tell your tackle to scoot up. Nobody ever told us. So in the fourth quarter, they flagged us, which is a little different. They said they forgot to warn us. But the first one was a legal formation. I mean, and we sent it in, and it was, so it should have been a touchdown. But we got to be able to find ways to overcome it. I mean, from that sequence on really set us up to not finish the half well, and then we didn't come out well. So instead of being up 14-0, it's 7-7, and then we don't score the rest of the half. They ended up scoring again, and so just how we handled the end of the last 4.5 minutes of the half really wasn't good, and really cost us the football game.
He hit 9 different receivers, but do you need him to complete 70%? Is that your baseline to be efficiency completion percentage wise?
70, probably leads you in the country. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, we need to. We're going to push for that. I think it was 58 or something, with a couple drops, couple throwaways. So I thought he was pretty efficient with his on target. But could have been better on a couple balls too. Two missed communications, one with Landon, one with Cox. Cox converted it. We should have kept it on and out. Stone threw it on time on the out. So those incompletions. So it's more too as far as being on target on your throws. A receiver's got to catch the ball, and that goes into your pass percentage. But yeah, I mean, we want to push to be around that 70%.
Javon Williams was listed as a number 2 halfback, but he didn't get any carries from that position. Just a wildcat. Why was that?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to get Javon. I mean, to be honest with you, the depth chart. Like I said, it depends on what plays. I mean, I don't know. We don't sit around there with that depth chart and say who's getting the carries, the 2 running back or 3 running back. I mean, all 3 of those guys are capable and are going to have their moments. We've talked about Romir being in there, Javon. It's hard to take DJ Davis out of the game. So if DJ's healthy and feels ready to go for the series, it's hard to tell 9 not to go in the game. So we got to find a way. 68 plays. A lot of times we'll have close to 20 more plays than that in a game. And so there in the second half and really in the fourth quarter, we didn't have a lot of plays. And so with that coupled with, he's going to be in the backfield getting carries this year. Just DJ got the bulk of the work at running back.
Nick, it didn't factor into the game, but fourth quarter you got within 17 and you went for 2. I was just why would you just kick it and keep yourself within 2 scores?
Well, you know that you're going to have to get two-point conversions probably at some point. So, we have an analytics conversation before the game, and right there, that was 100% go for 2 at that point. Just the analytics through studying the game the last 10 years is because if you don't get your 2-point conversions, which we didn't, how many series you've got to get back, whether it's going to be 3 or you get a 2-point conversion and now you're within 15. So we have an analytics thing that we talk about, and then we go over at the end of every game, and that was 100% go for 2 at that point.
Nick, Knighton and Chin have such good reputations. What's your challenge there, if any? Can teams stay away from them and negate them in games? Do you think SEMO did that?
The game was obviously Jeremy had the opportunity to make a big play and fell down and tripped on a play that looking back could have probably has an opportunity to pick the ball off, and ended up being a big play for them. But when you're a safety, I mean, most of the passing game, in fact, all the passing game were on the edges, and kind of went off, on the one-on-one matchup, so kind of stayed away from the middle of the field. And so when you're a safety, that can happen. You can kind of get where you have a true impact, on the game. He got down there and obviously made some tackles, and obviously you're having an impact on the game because dictating where the ball is probably going to be going. And then, as a defensive end, you can definitely same thing, game plan away, knowing where a certain player is. I mean, we'll have those moments with guys in our league where it's like, based on the run game or what he does well on third downs, where you're sliding your protections, if you're going to keep a back in and help on somebody. So there's ways to kind of try to take somebody like that out of the game. But Knight, I mean, that's one guy. I mean, we've got to have Anthony Knighton get into the pass, the quarterback, and so he knows that, and Jeremy, given the chance, I trust 100% is going to make that play when given the opportunity again. So I guess to answer your question, we can do some to move him around. Anthony's going to play where he plays, and has to make plays from his position.
Sort of related to Mike's question, as a group, don't single anybody out. How did your DBs grade out?
Well, we didn't play good enough to win. I mean, you get graded on did you give our did we win the game, and did you help or hurt that? I mean, if you would have watched the game, I mean, they made more plays than we made. They made more plays at wide receiver than we did at DB. The pass interferences were big. They had some explosive plays. The play that we were talking about with Jeremy down the sideline to set up a score. So yeah, I mean, we've got to play better at the corner position. I thought Trey did a good job, but it was with his interception when coming back and playing that, they were trying to throw the back shoulder fade, and he had been playing nickel and came to corner and then picked the ball off. So we got to be better.
In linebackers, how do your linebackers grade out?
Well, I felt like Cody Kreider played a pretty good game. Too many missed tackles, really. Especially in the first game, that being the first really opportunity to tackle for a long period of time, like we've talked about going into the game. I thought they played okay. Bryce Notary does have a broken foot and will be out for probably 4 to 6 weeks. We'll find out tomorrow. I thought Cody played a pretty good game. And then we got to get, Lucas being able to come in there. Continues to. I think Lucas needed that game a little bit mentally. Even talking to him yesterday was, he's coming off shoulder surgery and just trusting that to kind of cut loose. So I think you'll see Lucas continue to play better just with his, he was out half a training camp, getting going, got a game under his belt. So I mean, as a whole, I mean, we gave up 44 points and 500 and something yards of offense. Didn't get a sack and only one turnover. We got to play better as a unit. So as we grade from D line to linebacker to DB, we didn't grade out to win the game, and so we weren't good enough as a unit.
What does UMass like to do on defense?
Do what?
What does UMass like to do on defense?
Well, they base out of a three down, so 3-4 scheme, and so some similar fronts as we saw in week 1. Different personnel probably as far as the type of bodies that SEMO has. SEMO maybe a little bit bigger with their outside linebacker types, but a similar odd-based defense. I mean, they're going to close the middle of the field. They're going to have their variety of coverages and pressures, and we've seen one game from them. So they've got other things in their packages. They game plan for Rutgers and what they do, and so we've got to really still kind of like a first game. We have a pretty good starting point on what they're going to be like, but we're going to see things that we haven't seen on tape.
Oaktree's significant, is it, against the run and energy?
Yeah, I mean,
Loss,
yeah, I mean, we've got to be able to, like I sit up here. I mean, he was out for a lot of the game because he hurt it before the game, so he played on the broken foot. Actually hurt it in warm-ups, and so it was kind of like a weird, stepped on somebody's foot on a tackle drill, and then it just wasn't feeling right. You could tell that during the game, so that's why he wasn't getting as many reps. And then towards the middle of the third quarter, he didn't play again. So got an X-ray and has a minor fracture feel like he'll come back at some point this season with it. But yeah, I mean, anytime you lose a starter, the next guy's got to be ready to go, and just your depth's going to be tested. We've talked about that as a team. We've talked about that in here. So we've got to be ready to go with playing through injuries.
I'm sorry, did you mention who might take Noltry's place?
Bryson Strong is the one that'll start in his place.
Strong?
Yeah.
He played most of the game, didn't he?
Yeah, he played a lot of snaps and played good. He's playing. He's a heck of a player. In fact, there's been times in training camp where, I mean, he's been pushing Bryce all training camp. So I mean, Bryson's he's got to get. That was really his first game true action was last Thursday night. So he'll grow. I just saw him in there in the office already, getting ahead, and had a good practice last night, and we fully trust Bryson.
What happens when somebody like Kilby kind of tears it up for 2 receptions, and then he gets no receptions the rest of the game? Do they do something to scheme him out of the game as far as throwing to him, or what?
I mean, when we call pass plays, we don't call specific Kilby pass plays. I mean, the ball finds you based off the coverage and what the defense is doing. So he would have had a third catch for a touchdown if they didn't call the illegal formation. Had some other plays called on third down that just the ball didn't find him. So but yeah, I mean, we'll continue to. I mean, he was out there on all of them and definitely an option on all of them. Played a ton of snaps for us, and he'll continue will. And there'll be games that the ball finds him more, and then there's going to be games where he has a few catches, I'd say.
Coach, a couple of questions from media submitted by email. First, what are your recollections of the UMass playoff game from 2007?
I mean, it was an important game for us to kind of get over the hump playing here at home. Is to get to that semifinal game. We had since I had been here, we had won the first round every year, but we hadn't won that second round game, and I know that was important to our group, to get to the Final Four and give ourselves a chance to play for the national championship. I remember getting off to a good start and kind of hanging on in that game, but yeah, it was a fun game to be a part of.
The other question is the Senior Bowl identified Jeremy Chin as its top FCS prospect. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that he's a fabulous player. I've talked a ton about Jeremy, and I could go on and make this as long as you want. I think that they got the right guy. I think he's deserving of that. I think when you see him walk by you, or you guys all see him, it's not it doesn't take a rocket science to look out there and say that guy's probably a pro football player. So, I mean, he could line up on any of those games you just watched out there, Oregon and Auburn, and you'd say, like, man, that guy's a good-looking prospect. And so, we've had just about every single NFL team in here already through week 1, and the Senior Bowl's been here, and they were there on Thursday night at the game. So he's a great kid, and I think that the best thing, and for recruits out there, and for for sure is for his mom, and is just what type of kid he is. I think that there's a lot of kids out there that look the part and have good film, and then you find out about them, and there might be there's no red flags with Jeremy Chin. I mean, it's more just like, man, I really want to get this kid a part of our program. And some NFL club will do the same thing. They'll say, no, this is the kind of guy you want in your locker room. That'll end up being a captain for us too. That's going to play hard. I mean, you tell him to do something. There's never a, whether it's special teams or anything. So I think that more and more people are starting to find that out about him as they dig into him. They find out what type of student he is and all that, and all that stuff matters. I mean, his tape and all that's going to speak for themselves, but that's where you really separate yourself, is what type of person you are, and Jeremy's A+.
Their quarterback, I think it was his first game in 2 years. Would you classify him as a pocket guy more than a dual
Well, they're going to run the ball. They're going to spread the ball out. I mean, that's their MO is try to go fast and spread the ball, and they're going to have their wrinkles in, but they're not going to try to trick you too much. They're going to line up and they're going to try to be physical and run the ball and have some RPOs. And so I would say, he played basketball there at UMass, so he's an athlete. I don't know if he's a burner running it, but he's a big, strong kid, and so he's going to be efficient with the runs, and that's what they're going to ask him to do. So we have to be ready for him to run the football. They did that in the first game, but he has a good arm, and seems like a smart kid.
And as a group, what did you see from your offensive line against them?
Well, I thought, we graded out. We ran the ball efficiently. Still some opportunities to definitely clean up, as far as when you look back at a game, as far as efficient runs, the percentage of efficient runs, and then what your yards per carry. I think some individuals that could have been better at times, but at times we started slow on the left side, but got better. The sack that we gave up on the play action, they just brought one single backer, green dogged them, and Calvin sees him. He just has to come off and pick him up. That shouldn't have been a sack. So I thought at times in the run game we did some good things, and but just like every position, I mean you have those where, but I feel good about those 5 guys moving forward and making those improvements.
We saw in this room your starting quarterback. He filled up the room with his personality. How did he respond to the loss?
I think he responded well. I mean, he's hard. He gets it. He's hard on himself, but has a good outlook on things. Like he's able to. He's the first person to take ownership for something. Even throwing the ball down on the goal line. He's not looking for excuses, and so I like that about Stone. And then just some footwork things that he's got to clean up. And really we practiced last night was diving into those things, and thought he even took a step last night on some little things we asked him to do with his footwork that's going to help him out with some timing things. And so it's good. I mean, I was telling Mike that in the pregame. I think I go back to my first start, and we played a NAIA school or a Division II school, and my head was spinning, and I'm glad I didn't play in a rivalry game right off the bat that I was asked to throw. I think I threw the ball like 12 times or something like that. We were handing the ball off, and so I thought he did some good things, but you got to take steps, from as each game, the looks that you get, the different pressures. Thought he did a pretty good job, because SEMO does bring some pressure on the quarterbacks and things that we had to be ready for, and did a decent job with that, and some things to grow on.
Besides Elliott, did you see any true freshmen that you might use the rest of the year?
Well, Tanner Corum, I thought, played well in special teams, made an impact play. Yeah. So Tanner, I think Tanner and Romir were the only 2. I don't know. You guys help me. Yeah, those were the only 2 that.
So you might keep somebody just for special teams.
Yeah, no, if he can stay, because he's going to end up playing on more of them now. He's been getting better and better, but yeah, if he can go down and make an impact, and that's Tanner's. We said that. I mean, he came here to play. We've had him at safety. He can tackle real well. He's playing wide receiver now. He's good in the return game. He returns punts, returns kicks. So his role will continue to grow as the year goes on.
Sounds like a football player.
Yeah. I mean, the more guys that you can get like that, man, he loves it. He wants to play. He's came in and said the same. If I can be on all special, I don't want a red shirt. I mean, this is he takes pride in that.
How many can you travel, and do you bring all 4 running backs, or you just bring 3?
No, we'll bring 4 running backs. Those guys will all go. You can travel as many guys as you want, really as many as you can get on the plane. That we have room for, and but there's no rule as far as how many you can dress. It's really up to us and budgetary and those type of things.
Arkansas State's pretty much the
Same thing, yeah, and then we can, because we're busing down there, so at Arkansas State it's a little bit different. We'll probably, we're able to get a couple more guys on the bus.
Did your punter suit you well this last game? He had almost 41, but he looked like he outkicked his coverage once.
Yeah, the one time, I mean, and we can't afford to do that this week. I mean, they got an All-American return guy that he crushed a couple, but they look good in the air. But whenever you give a return guy that much room, it's hard to cover those kicks. So we've got to keep 40 and 4, 40 yards and 4 yards of hang time, or 4 seconds of hang time, and make them fair catch it. I mean, we want fair catches. I thought he did a good job. We did a good job with a couple of the rugbies, and so he did good. I mean, that's the first time he's ever even seen a football game, let alone playing one. So, I mean, for his first action, getting out there, I know he had an awesome time. I mean, his energy on the sideline, his attitude, he's a great teammate, really. I mean, he's locked into everything. He's having a great time, and I think he really truly loves being on this team, and I'm happy for him to get that opportunity. He did a good job.
Anklin's been good too. Do you like Jack's just variety, and then
Yeah.
that is a tough punt to field if he hits it right?
Yeah, that's what we kind of talked about. That really separated him. Andrew did a good job in training camp. Really had some, and he dressed too, and we would have had no problem putting him in there. But just Jack's variety, he's a much better rugby guy than Andrew, and so Jack can do a lot of things. Just the way that he's been, playing those different sports has helped him out.
You've persuaded the people in here that you take special teams seriously. Have you persuaded the team?
Yeah,
Seriously?
we needed to be better. I felt like our kickoff coverage unit had a good night, and it should. I mean, when you line up with those guys across there, they should take pride in having a great night. Now we got to be a lot better. The first 3 kicks were off target, and we were able to cover a couple of them. Kicked one out of bounds, but our coverage units were good. We talked about Jack out kicking it, not giving us a great chance. But our kickoff return has got to be a lot better. SEMO can say the same thing. I mean, we didn't. They really out-physicaled us several times that put us in some bad positions. Even the drive of the half, and then we got a penalty and we kicked it to them. They had the big return after a penalty. All those things that we talked about, how we ended those last 4.5 minutes. So I mean, Jaquan, hit one big one. But we've got to be better in our blocking on return.
You expect to miss anybody else for this week's game?
Everybody else is pretty healthy. Coming out of it, came out pretty healthy. Everybody was a go last night at practice, besides Bryce.
Okay, anything else from Coach?
Thanks,
That's
Coach.
it. All right.
Good luck.